Real, startup specialist at LTS, your host for today. And with me, I have my guest, James Watson, an industry expert and business development expert with me. In this presentation today, we'll be covering, as the name suggests, it is about startups, everything about startups. We'll be covering about LTS, what LTS is, what is LTS Accelerator, how, some comparisons between the accelerators out there, LTS Accelerator, what is our model of working, a brief introduction of my team, and a few case studies. So let me start with, what is LTS? What is Leo Technosoft? Can we move to the next slide, James? So next slide, please. LTS is Leo Technosoft, and we are a business and technology partner company. We work extensively with startups in the US, and we provide services to startups to realize their dreams, to grow their business, and to be successful. So LTS supports the full life cycle of software sales and technical engineering, and we help you convert your idea into a robust software and efficient sales channels. That is what we as LTS do, and our program LTS Accelerator is all about. We'll get to know more about LTS Accelerator, but before we do that, let's talk about accelerators. What comes to your mind when you say the word startup, right? So the first thing, if we can move to the next slide, the first thing that we think about is startup accelerators. There are a lot of startup accelerators available in the US. How do we differentiate from them, and what does accelerator mean? So a startup accelerator typically helps startups by providing it with the right software or the hardware or any other needs that it has, and it helps the startup to grow. So the most startup accelerators which are out there in the US, they do not provide you with cost-effective R&D. They don't help you build your global revenues, and they're nothing more than expensive offices. You definitely expect a lot more from accelerators, especially if you're, paying them in some form, or if you're exchanging your equity with them. So now let me come to what is LTS Accelerator. Introducing LTS Accelerator. Can we go one slide up? Yeah. So let me just brief you about how did we come about this idea of having LTS Accelerator. We have an extensive experience of around 16 years of working with startups, and especially 11 years of experience in the US market. So when we used to work with the startups, we realized that these startups which have a very limited number of people, limited employees or people working in the startup, plus a very limited cash flow, which is majorly due to their lifelong savings or with the help of their relatives and friends. So when they go for different services to different people, to different companies, and they coordinate with them, it actually takes away a lot of their important time. And time is really important if you're running a startup. It also affects their cash flow, because when they go to different people, they pay for the various services, and it really does dig a hole in their pocket. So we came about an idea of having everything in one bundle, and we provided people with LTS Accelerator. So now we'll talk about LTS Accelerator. Next, please. As I said, with our 11 years of experience in serving startups in USA with the maximum return of investment, we help startups with the cost-effective software development. We help you create efficient sales channel creation, and we also help you with investor network of fundraising. So as you can say, it is all and everything that a startup needs, the right kind of software development, the right kind of help, creating the right marketing and sales channel, and deep investor network of fundraising. What else can a startup ask for? Moving on to the next slide. So, let's now talk about LTS Accelerator. The model that we follow is called as BOMT. So these are our 4 pillars that support our LTS Accelerator model. Which stand for build, B for build, operate, market, and transform, BOMT. So in the build stage, we have around 140 developers. So to give you a brief, LTS is a Chicago-based company. We have our services in Chicago, LA, and New York. In India, we have services in Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, We also have services in Singapore and Ukraine. So we have more than 140 developers network across the world. And when you come to us with your idea, we help you develop your own platform and take your product from POC to version 1.0. The second, a very important pillar is operate. So our USP is a very competitive price as well as 24/7 support according to your time zone. So I think the most important thing and the biggest hassle that companies have when they outsource their work to some other some other company, or when they're working with an accelerator or some other company, the biggest challenge that they face is the time difference. So in order to make things easy for you, we provide on demand DevOps services, quality analysis services, 24/7 with the help of our 24/7 support across 12 countries. So you don't have to worry about working during our time zones. You don't have to worry about coordinating with us during various time zones, staying up late at night, getting up early in the morning. We are always there. The third pillar is market. So our customer relationship experts have experience building sales channel in with more than 120 partners in our global network. So we have more than 120 global network partners who help us, create the marketing channels and sales channels. The fourth and the most important part is transform. So it is get not over. We help you build it. We help you operate. We help you market, and we help you transform. So in the transform stage of our BOMT model, with our professional service consultants, we help you either build a business plan if you do not have one, or else we help you polish and hone your business plan, financial model, and make them ready for investor presentations. So if you move on to the next slide, what we are going to do is compare a traditional growth model to LTS accelerator model. In the next slide, you can see, you can see the traditional growth model, right? So when you go to any accelerator, when you take any accelerator services, or if you go to any connect with any company to providing the right services, as I said, time is of essence for startups. So what happens is you go to them, they start creating your product, and the development happens in a very linear kind of a way. So once they develop your product, they start doing the sales and marketing services if they provide that. They'll manage your campaigns and cultivate partnerships and sell the product. But while this is happening in a very linear way, it takes a lot of time. And time equals money. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money, and the time and the funds that you have in mind to create your platform is totally messed up. So if we move on to the next slide, you will say our LTS growth playbook. So what we do when you come to us, we will start developing your product by understanding what you want, understanding your vision, what you want, how do you want to create it. While we are building our product, we are also working on the sales and marketing side of it. Because if you build a product and you do not have a right sales and marketing channels created for that, then you will definitely have challenges. And the main motive of creating the product is to sell it in the market, to pitch it in the market. So we help you manage your campaigns, cultivate partnerships, and sell the product while we are building your product. So we work in a very parallel way. While we are building your product, we are also doing the campaigns and cultivating partnerships and finding the right sales channels for you. So in this way, we have rapid results, we have fast product development, and a robust customer growth. So this is the difference between LTS growth playbook and the traditional growth playbook. Now, if you move on to the next slide. Yeah, so this slide mainly tells what kind of startups do we deal with. We specialize across all levels of early stage life cycle. So we work with pre-category startups, which are just starting with a concept or an idea, which is in the ideation stage. We work with early stage startup who typically would build some technology, but are looking to expand the development and sales. They're looking to expand their business. The third category is mature. We help mature startups reduce their technology cost while increasing the revenue to become profitable. So these are the three categories of startups that we work with. So if we move on to the next slide, you can see some of the case studies spanning across the entire life cycle. So we have simpler, We have Immortalized, on-call people, and these are some of the case studies, some of the clients that we have. If we move on to the next slide, we'll have some case studies that I'll take you through. So yeah, Fluid is actually a construction. This product Fluid was for the construction industry. They approached LTS with an idea to simplify and standardize the ongoing daunting paperwork process that was standard norm in the construction industry. They needed a system to track their project at all levels, the contracts, the project information, the right papers to be accessible in real time. Our team of developers ensured a tailor-made solution called as Fluid Contract Manager, which helped them manage their projects from anywhere across the world. So if we move on to the next slide, we have on-call people. Again, I mean, we help them create channel, and we also help them create their product. During the build stage of BOMT, the preliminary steps regarding on-call's application development were planned. This including bare necessities of the application along with the basic features. So there are various functionalities, forms to be used for adding doctors and patients to the database, and layouts for design. So at the market stage, LTS pitched the on-call solution to hospitals, clinics, and we created and doctors, highlighting the features that could ease the task of the managers, and we created a lot of channels for them to sell this product out there in the market. So moving on to the next. Immortalized. So Immortalized is one of my favorite projects that we have done so far, because it is very close to, it is very emotionally oriented, and it is very close to people's heart. It is a unique platform that allows timelining to profiles, pictures, videos, and heartfelt content when people could reminisce old times and keep memories alive. So a highly skilled system architect designed a robust social architecture for a collaborative web platform that could easily deal with challenges like performance, load, and inconsistent content creation. During the market and transformation stage, transform stages, LTS experts helped Immortalize develop sales channels through marketing campaigns, as well as taking the team through the fundraising process for a successful angel capital round. Now, moving on to the last case study for today, Run2Geo. Run2Geo needed a technical team that could bring out the high operability and global availability, and not just building of an application. So they approached LTS not only as entrepreneurs but also as athletes who needed a solution and that satisfied all running related use cases. We included features for accurate location tracking, performance analysis, and distance and speed measurement. Sorry. I think the cherry on the top for in this particular project of Run2Geo was that we improvised advertisement engine and strategically ran brand and event ad depending on the geographical location of the user. So we did add the GPS functionality through extensive research, continuous development, and testing cycles. So if we go to the next slide, yeah, here we have companies which were acquired by bigger brands. So for example, Astonish was acquired by Zywave in 2015. We developed Astonish. Nevix was a part of our Accelerator, and that was acquired by Citrix in 2014. So now moving on to the next slide. This is, just to give you an idea about how do we work, what is a typical structure. So LTS Accelerator takes in all the entries which are from the pre-seed category, which are the pre-startup category. A typical runway for us would be, 2 to 3 years. And how do we help you is by doing UI UX development. There are some charges for UI and UX development and some project management costs. The timeline is typically around 10 weeks for UX refinement and 3 to 4 weeks for investor and relationship outreach by creating and after creating your business model or honing it. So if you move on to the next slide, this is our team. We have Satyan Jain, who is CEO and co-founder. We have Ryan Lazarus, Rinchen Kang, Executive Sales Director. We have James Watson, who's with us today, and he's going to take you through his presentation very soon. We have Chris George, Director of Partnership, and Nidhi Dandrial, that's me, your host today, and I work as Customer Relationship and Startup Expert at Leotech. So I'll hand it over to James Watson from here, and he can take it forward.
Start. Okay, thank you very much, Nidhi. I appreciate the introduction. As Nidhi had stated, my name is James Watson, and I'm a fractional VP of sales that works with small to mid-sized businesses that are looking to scale their sales, either because they are having difficulty or because they, are growing very quickly, and they need to be able to scale and take it to the next level. I'm part of a larger organization or network of fractional VPs of sales called Sales Acceleration, which is the largest network in the world, of people that do what we do. So what I have is a passion really for helping small business owners, to realize their goals and their dreams. And I help to build customized sales plans once I understand what those needs are. Why are sales revenues not increasing as planned? That's one of the questions that many startups and then even established companies are asking themselves. And there's quite a few reasons, but a few of the top ones are that you have an improperly staffed sales team or a lack of focus on that. You don't have a clearly defined sales process, and then you don't have a shared or detailed business plan. Some things to listen for, within your own organization is, our company lacks sales structure. Too much of our annual revenue comes from a couple of our clients. Our sales are good, but they could be better. This is going to vary depending on, what stage you're at, as a startup or, once you're actually funded. So if we break it down to, some fundamentals, one of the most important ones is scaling your sales processes and results. You have to start by assessing your current sales personnel, presuming you have any. Oftentimes with a startup, it's going to be the founder, CEO that is doing the sales, and so it's going to be that individual, and they have to look at what they're doing to prove themselves, and then hopefully start scaling and bringing some people in. You have to assess what those processes are you have in place, and then you've got to build and implement. Build on what you already have, and then implement some new sales processes. So if we're looking at, the current personnel, we need to determine the manpower that's necessary to achieve the objectives. We've got to know, look at some empirical data, and then establish, based on what those objectives are, what should the quotas be? What kind of comp is proper? Who should we bring in? What are the metrics that are going to be needed to track in order to be able to hit those results? So really what you need to do is hire right, and or develop your current personnel. And usually it's some combination of the two, particularly, with startups. But once you get to the point where you're actually starting to recruit, you will want to either get an outside source to help out with that, or there's different ways of doing it through LinkedIn if you're going to do it on your own. And then you need to get a good pool of candidates. You need to screen them. You need to do interviews, and then you want to hire the right person. Once you do that, then you can create a sales playbook that's designed around, helping to onboard that individual. And the whole goal is to make it a repeatable and predictable process by establishing that foundation. Once you get the people into place, you need to, you don't just want to throw them out there. They need to go through an onboarding, and there's a 2-week certification process that's recommended. But beyond that, really, there should be a mentoring program in place where someone's learning on the job. So as far as, assessing the personnel and hiring and developing the right people, it's very critical to look at what is the end game. What are we looking to achieve in the next year? What have we promised the investors or ourselves in terms of, annual run rate of revenue? Whatever, providing a service or a product, then we need to reverse engineer back into the necessary manpower and metrics. And then we need to create a statement of work to understand what is it that is, what are the steps that we're going to take and that we can measure that are going to get us to that. Once you have that in place, it's critical to have weekly sales meetings. It's about accountability, having that sales book in place. If you're bringing a rep in, Ride-alongs, that can be being on a call together, or it can be physically going out and meeting with clients or prospective clients, going to trade shows, etc. And then it's really important to keep measuring that through weekly collaboration. So once we get all of these things into place and we get someone certified, we need to keep collaborating and then stay flexible, because things change in the marketplace. We could have competition come into play, or we may just pivot entirely in terms of something that's not working. So you have to be flexible, but you do want to have a foundation that enables you to pivot as is needed. So as far as bringing the right people in, first thing you got to do is to create a specific job description with the proper compensation. You want to screen the candidates. Ideally, you want to bring in, get down to a top 3, and then do interviews with multiple people within the organization. And then, actually have the candidates do a mock role play or presentation so that you can see them in action, see how they really think on their feet. A lot of people have good resumes, but you find out a lot about them and what they might be capable of doing once they actually have to engage in a real world role play. So there's some best practices for what you do once you get someone on board. You really want to make it a personalized experience, make them feel at home, and give them some preparation before they come into the organization. And depending on the size of the company, this could be multiple people, or it could just be one individual that's hiring, making their first hire. So then once we have the certification training in place, we come up with the playbook modules, we do role playing, shadowing, then we do a certification with a role play and an exam. So once we have that all, once we're getting that all into place, we are in the process really of building a sales playbook. We've already got a structure for it, but we're going to be building that around the people that we hire. So we got to look at the current situation. We've got to create modules that kind of go from A to Z, from being able to do research, having your pitches in place, your why story, and then being able to ask the right questions to be able to make the right presentations and provide the right solutions, and then moving things through to close, and then onboarding those clients as well in a proper fashion. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the current situation. We're going to look at the revenue and the profit objectives. We're looking at the sales personnel. We're looking at the sales resources and processes. When we're hiring someone in and we're putting a job description together, we do want to make sure that we've got that it aligns with the culture of the company. And you also have to know what your value proposition is as a company. And there's different ways, obviously, of bringing people in and screening those candidates. So one example, one case study is of a company that I actually worked with pretty recently on a consulting basis. It was a tech startup that was going for its second round of funding, and they were falling short on their annual run rate. They were already a little further along. They were a few years in, but they were doing about 12 million in ARR, and that the investors expected them to be up at closer to 20 million. So I was brought in, and it actually worked along with another sales consultant to build that sales book up, to hire the reps in, and we actually took them from 9 up to 18 reps. We worked closely with the executives and the division heads, and then we built and implemented a tailored, customized sales playbook. The client, as a result of that, got a next major round of funding, and then ended up being able to expand into now they've gone from 1 state into 5 different states. So from, in terms of my experience and what I can bring to the table potentially, for any startups, I've got over 30 years of business experience, in direct sales, sales leadership, and consulting. My passion is to help individuals and companies realize their dreams, and by doing that on a consulting basis with small to mid-sized businesses that normally can't afford to have a full VP of sales in place, or a lot of other resources for that matter, it gives me the opportunity to do this on a much larger scale and have a big impact or bigger impact in the business community. I have worked for everything from larger companies, helped to take them from 100 million to over $1 billion in revenue. And then I've worked with startups, that really is essentially just needed to get their next round of funding, and then kind of everything in between. Thank you very much for taking time to listen to this. Hopefully there were some good takeaways. And if anyone is interested in, getting a complimentary assessment, both written and then, about an hour of my time, which will be at no charge, they can reach out to me on my email at jwatson@salesacceleration.com. It's JWATSON @salesacceleration.com. There's no E before the X. Or you can get me on LinkedIn. Sales Catapult's the name of the company. And my mobile number is 310-488-1864. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation, James. I would highly recommend you guys make use of the free assessment that James has given. It's really useful. I'm also dropping in the link for to register with us, and we'll reach back to you to give you a free consultation about your business and your startup needs. So that's the link that I've put in to the chat box. Thank you very much, James. That was a wonderful presentation. And yes, please go ahead and have the complimentary assessment done by James. I highly recommend it. And thank you very much once again for joining us today here for our webinar all about startups. Hope you had a great time going through the webinar, going through the presentation that we had made for you guys, and looking forward to getting in touch with all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you, James, once again.
Thank you, Nidhi. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Have a great day.